Hey everybody, Papa Wigs here with Wigs. We're gonna do the Thursday night football recap. Hey, what can I say? I mean, um, I'm stunned. I'll be honest. I didn't think it was gonna be that kind of game. I thought the Buccaneers defense was gonna show up, even though they had some injuries. They did lose their other starting safety, which hurt them. Kirk Cousins threw for over 500 yards. That was nuts. 4 touchdowns. Wasn't expecting that. Uh, you know, it was nice to see Kyle Pitts actually do something. Good call, Wigs, on that one. Um, and it was nice to see Darnell Mooney have a good game. Drake London had a great game. I mean, they're finally doing what they should be doing on their offense, and that's getting these guys involved. The only guy that's missing on this list right here is Bijan, right? I mean that, and I know there's a lot of unhappy fantasy people out there because of the way they're splitting up their running backs right now, which I don't blame you because Bijan's a beast, and I don't understand why they don't use him. I read something yesterday, Wiggs, where they're talking about when he was with Texas that he used to run the ball up the middle a lot, and that's where he had a lot of his success. But the Falcons are constantly running them out around the edges, and they're not running them up the middle and stuff. So I'm not quite sure why they're not being able to figure out him. But on the flip side of things, I thought Baker Mayfield looked good again. I mean, he's definitely the Tampa Bay quarterback. Mike Evans had a Mike Evans game. Chris Godwin did okay. Otten had an okay game. It wasn't spectacular, but he was involved in the offense. Their rushing game actually did okay. They had 120 some yards or 50 some yards, I think, between Mayfield, White, and Irving. So they just ran into some bad luck there in overtime. I mean, who would have thought the guy would have broke it off like that and end the game on a walk off? That was crazy. So they didn't even get a chance to get out there. So, but kudos to Falcons on there. I thought the Falcons defense was okay, but it was a typical Falcons defense. So, great game, man. This NFC South, Wigs, is shaping out to be a little bit better than I think we initially thought with the Falcons, the Buccaneers, and the Saints.
Well, I thought going into the season the Falcons would be around this like caliber, like a 3-2 to start, and then popping off later on. But I was not expecting them to beat the Bucks at all last night. Just with the way they've looked the last few weeks, it was kind of iffy, and I think Kirk Cousins totally won them the game. I mean, you throw for over 500 yards, and your defense gives up 30 points. I think all that just comes down to Cousins finding his guys and making sure they're getting on the board. I mean, Drake London with 150 yards, and then Darnell Mooney with over 100. Could have been more if Mooney didn't drop a wide open touchdown. I wasn't able to watch the
He
game,
had
but
multiple drops actually.
I watched the highlights, and that touchdown was like a 30-yard drop, and he was wide open. Like, no one was even near him. So I think if Darnell Mooney cleans up his drops, like, he's going to be just as good, if not better, week in and week out. Because once Cousins finds like a good connection with you, he's going to target you a lot. And Darnell Mooney was targeted 16 times yesterday, the most on the team. Behind him was Drake London and then Kyle Pitts. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm kind of shocked at the whole Bijan thing. Like, don't get me wrong, he had 12 carries for 60 yards, but I don't know why they're not getting him the ball more. If I had someone like that on my team, he'd be touching the ball at least 20 times a game.
He had a few receptions too. I don't know how many, but he wasn't really that involved in the
Yeah,
receiving game.
he only had 3 for 16. So
And on the one Mooney drop, they played the replay, and they think part of it was they didn't think Mooney was expecting the ball because Cousin actually threw the ball before he made his break. So when they showed the replay, his back was still turned to Cousins as he threw the ball, and then as soon as he turned around, the ball was coming. But even so, he should have caught it.
well, yeah, like you got to be prepared for that too, because
I mean, it was a perfect throw. I mean, and he was pretty upset.
How many times have we seen Cousins do that with like Justin Jefferson? Mooney's just got to be ready for that. Like, if Cousins reads the defense that well, the ball's gonna be like right on point as soon as you turn your head. So
It was a great way to start off week 5, though. I wasn't anticipating it to be that kind of game. And the Buccaneers have some key injuries on their defense right now. They need to get some guys back on their defense because their defense, um, they're right now they're down both their starting safeties, which is huge. So it's crazy, that they're losing guys left and right there. But their offenses looked really good, and I'll say it. Even though White had one run for 50 some yards, but he didn't do much else other than that, and stuff. I still think that Bucky Irving's gonna, he's had way more success, way more yards per carry, and so I think that he's gonna still be actively involved here, and I think down the road it's gonna be more of a 50-50. That's just me and stuff. I just think that they're starting to see what kind of running back he is. So, but other than that, kudos to Wiggs for his calls. I mean, that Kirk Cousins call, I thought for sure he was going to struggle a little bit more and stuff. So sorry for that, folks. I mean, it was again, you got to go with your gut. My gut didn't think he was going to do that. I don't think anybody was expecting him to throw for 500 yards. I mean, that's insane. But I didn't think that, and again, I mean, the reason why Pitts went off is because I sat him on my bench on one of my leagues this week, and Wiggs is gonna sit here and tell you, well, I started him, I'm a beast. You know why he started him? He didn't have any other options, so he just said, well, I guess I'm rolling with Pitts this week.
Hey,
had he had another option, this guy would have been starting a different tight end. Don't let him fool you.
What did I tell you, though? If I had someone else on my roster and I benched him, he was going to pop off. And what did he do last night? I kept him in my league, so I had to start him.
Yeah, no. So it'll be interesting to see if he can build off this, though, Wiggs. Yeah. It was nice to see him, all kidding aside, it was nice to see him have a decent game. How many points did he end up with? Was it
15?
It was like 15. So it'd be nice to see him get some end zone targets in the red zone and stuff. But maybe they can build off of this, and maybe Cousins will get more confidence and throw into him and stuff like that. So hopefully this is the start of something, because I'm telling you, Pitts is a beast, and I just am stunned that he's not used more and getting more receptions.
Well, I think it showed last night too. If you're throwing him the ball, it opens up London and Mooney.
Oh well, yeah, and they've got a lot, and even Ray McLeod. Yep. I mean, he was he didn't get a ton of targets, but the targets that he did get, he took advantage of. I mean, they got a lot of guys on that offense. I'll be quite honest with you. I think Cousins, putting Jefferson aside, okay, I think Cousins actually has got more targets on this Falcons offense than he had with the Vikings, especially in the running back situation, because Cousins, I mean, once Cook was gone, we really didn't have anything. But I would argue, and I think Wiggs, you would agree, Bijan is probably a much better, I mean, long term is going to be a much better running back than Cook was.
Yep.
Nothing against Cook, because I love Cook and stuff, but I think he's got a lot more weapons on this offense than he did.
Like Tyler Algier is definitely better than Madison, so
yeah, he I just think he's got a lot of weapons on this offense, and I'll tell you what, if their defense can figure it out and stuff, and just at least be in the middle of the pack, you know what I mean, and stuff, this Falcons team is going to be tough.
Well, and they had the time of possession completely in their hand. I mean, when you look at like how many times they ran plays there on the side of the Bucs, it was like maybe a little over half the amount that the Falcons had. Like, I mean, Cousins threw almost 60 times, and they ran it for another like 20 basically. So we're talking a lot more plays. You look at Mayfield; he only threw the ball like 24 times, and then like their running backs only ran like another like 15 to 18. So.
Yeah, but their running backs were having success against Falcon. You know what I mean? Their yards per carry, I think I saw, was like around, because of that big run that White had, it was like 7 yards a carry.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and then next week I think the Falcons are playing the Saints next week. I believe one of the two of these teams are playing the Saints, so that'll be another good game there. But this NFC South, the division, is shaping up to be one of the interesting divisions this year. I think it's going to be pretty close, and it wouldn't surprise me if we have multiple teams going to the playoffs, because there's some tough. The South and the North right now, I mean, are probably the two best divisions in the NFC. Would you not agree, Wiggs?
I don't know. That East with Daniels playing good could be interesting as well. Like,
I know, but from a record perspective
Well,
right
yeah, from
now,
a record, this NFC I think in general is going to be fun to see what 7 teams make playoffs because like every division's had a lot of surprises right now in the NFC. Like you look at the Commanders, like who would have thought they'd be sitting at the top of the division right now? I think they're at the top at least.
they are.
And then like you look at the West, like the Cardinals are playing a lot better than I thought they would. The Seahawks are playing better than I thought they would. The 49ers are still in that division. Like all of these are going to be interesting in the NFC.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It'll be interesting to see how it shapes up. So, with that, check us out, Fantasy Fools PPR on YouTube. We're on Snapchat, X, TikTok, Instagram. Like, subscribe, share. If you need it, if you have any lineup questions, feel free to reach out. Any feedback, let us know. Hopefully, you guys are finding this as another option for your fantasy football decisions, and we'll see you next time.